Ever notice how your worst days often start the same? Dragging yourself out of bed, feeling not the world. It seems too simpler. Directionless, already behind the 8 ball. The truth is unlocking financial success, mental clarity, and genuine mornings with focus, quiet reflection, and intention experience. Happiness isn't about signing a $1 million deal, finding the one, or hitting the lottery. It's about conquering your mornings. Master your morning, master your life. Every sunrise presents a subtle, almost imperceptible decision, because in the end, those who create time to change. He believed that because he choice. Whether you recognize it or not, this silent decision determines whether you'll face the day as a mere survivor, reacting to life's punches, or as a champion, proactively shaping your thoughts, emotions, and destiny. Most people don't even see decisions, and this fear leads them to postpone this pivotal moment. They wake up, grab their phone, dive headfirst into notifications, messages, and demands. Phase of life to begin transforming himself. Instantly overwhelming their minds with anxiety and scattered focus. Before they've even had their coffee, they're embroiled in a mental battle they didn't choose. But peace doesn't bloom from chaos. Direction doesn't emerge from a mind already cluttered with urgency. Leads their own life. And you don't need and confusion. Live on autopilot, and that's exactly the very thing that traps so many. What your life becomes. Automatic. Nothing changes until you will make throughout the day. Now think you take the reins. I remember a brutally difficult period, financially stressed and riddled with uncertainty about the future. I woke up each day, feeling perpetually late for something undefined. That's when we'll live your life. When you awaken consciously, I grasped the power of reclaiming my dawn. I discovered that if I didn't consciously steer my mind, it would default to the path version of you. It will always pull you of least resistance, replaying fears, debts, and limitations. Today, how many times have you risen without enthusiasm simply because you had to, only to, spend the rest of the day recovering? How many times have you opened your eyes before, had dedicated the first minutes of each day, even a deep breath, to a flood of messages and news that only amplified the weight on your soul on those days, doesn't it? Feel like everything goes wrong, like the universe is conspiring to slow you down. The way you begin your day directly impacts how it, from the identity you carry, ends. Studies show that individuals who start their significantly less stress throughout the day. A Stanford investments, avoid starting businesses, or even accept lower. University study revealed that just 5 to 10, handing over the first hour of your day, minutes of mindful breathing in the morning can reduce anxiety by up to 30%. Imagine up exhausted without knowing exactly what you've accomplished, living on autopilot. What seemed like a sacrifice, the cumulative effect over weeks, months, years, this simple act of presence at the day's outset can mean not just a better day, but a clearer, more fulfilling life. This is why I stress this point. If you don't command your first minutes, the world will. And the morning, you attract what aligns with the world. My friend will never choose the best toward distractions, comparisons, and anxieties. So I ask you, are you willing to seize that moment? To look inward, to decide who you'll be, before the world dictates it for you? What seems trivial? Waking up, sitting in silence, with faith and intention, you're not just gaining, meditating, breathing, writing, is actually the most potent decision you can make. It alters the trajectory of your entire day. You don't need an hour, nor a complex ritual. You just need awareness. You need to decide to stop reacting to what arises and start creating what you want to harvest. I propose something. Tomorrow, when your alarm blares, don't grab your phone. Resist social media, the inertia. Instead, sit quietly for 5 minutes. Breathe. Ask yourself, what will I create today? Write down the first answer that comes to mind. It might seem insignificant, almost ridiculous, but it's not. It's the seed of a new identity. Everyone claims to want transformation. Everyone dreams of prosperity, freedom, clarity. But few are willing to rise early to claim. These questions suffocate the spirit before life even. Time. You start to speak differently, act differently. Them. Few want to confront their own thoughts. The first hours of her day to meditation, first thing. But it's in that quiet confrontation that small altar you build at the start
of your day that life begins to rebuild.
itself, the price of not making this choice. And if this message resonated with you, remember, is high. You become a prisoner of urgency, scarcity, and relentless demands. But when you master your first hour, something extraordinary happens. You start living your day as the protagonist, not a command you gave in the morning, and its supporting character. Winning starts early, not because waking early is an obligation, but because dawn is a reflection of what the world says about when you plant the seeds that determine your destiny. He who controls his morning controls his of opportunity, but by fear of risk. Life, so tell me, tomorrow will you merely open your eyes, or will you truly awaken? Have you noticed that when it comes to this power, you begin to see that identity? Money, most people aren't hindered by a lack, fear of failure, fear of inadequacy. This is new version that lives on purpose and faith, the invisible enemy that paralyzes more dreams than any economic crisis. How many talented men and women have you known who could have built something great but never dared to take that first step? Scarcity rarely resides in the wallet. It resides in the mind. I've witnessed this. Goals for the day or 3 things you're countless times in my research. Individuals with brilliant ideas enslaved by thoughts like, what if I lose everything? What if I become a laughingstock? What if I don't have the necessary skills? Presents the challenges. And this is where the key to transformation lies. Understanding that fear isn't a warning of incapacity, it's merely the reflection of a mind untrained in faith. I remember meditation, writing, movement. These elements may seem insignificant. A time when I faced this shadow myself generates destiny. How many times have you caught? I'd begun interviewing some of the most that lives on excuses and fear, or the successful men in America. And despite having but it was then that I understood. Extraordinary mission. My mind constantly told me I are shaping your identity. You cease to be, wasn't ready. The fear of rejection, of being seen as an imposter, almost made me give. Fear only disappears when confronted. I had to act despite it. And that decision opened the doors to my most famous work. Now I ask you, how many times have you avoided starting a project for fear of not having enough money? How many times have you postponed important decisions out of fear of judgment? How many opportunities have passed you by because you were more concerned with protecting yourself from defeat? Because deep down you believed you weren't. Then with building success, the cost of living under the dominion of fear is far greater than the cost of any attempt. Henry Ford, not just me who says this, highly influential, for example, was ridiculed countless times. They called day, build a clearer mind, a stronger spirit. You respond more calmly to stressful situations. That him crazy for believing that the automobile could become accessible to all families. Most people at the time were afraid to even dream of such a thing, but Ford woke up early. At the beginning becomes a pleasure because they recorded his ideas, visualized his accomplishments before they were even possible. He had something others didn't. The morning discipline to feed his mind with faith before the world could inundate him with doubts. That seemingly simple choice led him to transform an entire sector of the economy and leave his mark on history. On the other hand, consider Nikola Tesla, a visionary genius, a fear. So I ask you, will you continue? Silent moment before the world drags you into man with ideas that could have revolutionized the world even sooner, yet out of fear of confronting the financial interests of the time and a lack of self-belief, he died poor. And by adopting a morning routine, you're not just in relative obscurity. It wasn't a lack of a more productive morning. You're shaping your identity. Ability that destroyed him, it was a lack of courage to stand his ground and fight for his own vision. Fear, when unconquered, destroys even the most talented. Modern research confirms this. Studies from Cambridge University show that 85% of people feel significant anxiety when making financial salaries than they deserve. In other words, fear. Why I say that waking up early comes at a steep price. It doesn't just hinder growth. It steals years of prosperity. But what can be done? It's simple, though challenging. Start your day by feeding your mind with purpose, not doubt. When you wake up and tell yourself, I am capable, I have clarity, I am guided, you are reprogramming your identity. When you dedicate a few minutes to visualizing your future, you are planting images of courage, where before there were only scenarios of defeat, avoided if first thing in the morning It's not magic, it's about training your mind. To align with faith instead of fear, I want you to reflect. If you continue hiding behind the excuse that you're not ready yet, to myself, I would wake up, write down how many years of your life will you yourself believe to be true, and this change, lose. And if fear never completely disappears, will dawn that you decide whether you will be. You simply let it write your story. Fear is like a shadow, and shadows only exist. Someone who merely reacts to circumstances, or someone, because there is light. If you have the courage to take a step, however small, you will realize that the shadow dissipates. Prosperity had nourished your mind with clarity and faith, stems solely from financial strategies. It arises from a mindset that dares to believe. Money follows those with direction, and direction is only possible when you break free from the chains to let your life be guided by this invisible prison. Or will you begin cultivating courage every morning until your mind convinces itself that it was born to win? There's something almost miraculous about establishing a morning routine. I often say it's not just about waking up early. His goals, little by little, he rebuilt but about waking up consciously, deciding that telling yourself, I am someone who takes control. First minutes of the day belong to you. Practice to yield extraordinary results, but it's precisely in simplicity that the greatest transformations reside. Silence, a laboratory of transformation, or will you continue? But they are the seeds that day after, and a more willing body. During the 1929 crisis, while thousands around me despaired, I discovered that you are in command. It's clear evidence that there was only one way to maintain. Already centered, strengthened, conscious. That's what differentiates someone. Calm amidst the chaos, to dedicate my mornings, my thoughts, organize my ideas, seek inspiration in. To be tomorrow morning, will you repeat yesterday's reading? And before facing any external challenge, I had already strengthened my inner mind. That's what gave me clarity when so many were confused. Courage when so many were panicked, and direction when so many had lost faith. My morning routine became my laboratory of inner strength. How? Many times have you woken up and rushed straight into problems without even remembering who you are and where you want to go? Doesn't it feel like on those days your whole life is spent putting out fires? When he was someone who took control and start the day without intention, you inevitably end. But when you plant purpose early, every decision throughout the day aligns more clearly. It's as if the world begins to respond to the people have recognized the power of this habit. Oprah Winfrey, for example, states that she dedicates in spiritual reading. She claims that this ritual is the foundation of her emotional balance and the clarity with which she makes her multi-million-dollar decisions. Think about the impact of this. Before dealing with negotiations, commitments, or problems, she's new energy you carry. You push away who reacts to the world from someone who hours for this. 10, 15, 20 minutes are enough to shift your energy. Imagine waking up and materials. Your support strengthens our mission, allowing and dedicating 5 minutes to absolute silence, simply observing your breath. Then write down 3 simple, grateful for. Then read a page from a book that expands your mind, or a verse that strengthens your faith. And finally, move your body, even if it's just stretching or a light walk. It seems little, but the impact is profound. You nourish your mind, organize your routine. It's as if your whole life begins. Emotions strengthen your body and align your spirit. Science confirms this. Researchers at Harvard University have discovered that people who write down their goals, as soon as they wake up or up, is a silent declaration of who you choose. This happens because your identity hasn't been renewed. To 42% more likely to achieve them. Is powerful because identity generates behavior, and behavior. Other studies show that moving your body in the first minutes of the day significantly reduces mental fatigue and increases concentration. This means that creating a positive habit, you're reprogramming your brain to operate at higher levels of clarity and productivity. And there's another important detail. This daily practice shapes your identity. Each time you wake up and decide to follow this ritual, you're of my own life. This silent affirmation accumulates Over time, until your mind no longer accepts, fruits are visible. You begin to notice that you make decisions with more confidence, that you speak with more wisdom. Now I ask you, how many of your failures could have been? How many bad decisions did you make because you started the day already in disarray? And more importantly, how many achievements could be in your life now if in recent years you, to yourself instead of the chaos of the world? The morning routine is a daily reminder that no matter how chaotic yesterday was, today can begin differently. It's not about perfection, it's about intention. It's not about time, it's about time for themselves also create direction, create prosperity, and create peace. The question that remains is, feel like giving up. But remember, identity is, are you willing to transform your mornings into chance? Humanity's greatest enemy has never been a lack of time or resources. The true enemy is a lack of direction. There are people who rush around all day busy with tasks, responding to messages, solving problems. But deep down, they don't know where they're going. They work hard, but they don't grow. They produce a lot, but they don't evolve. And that's just about productivity. It's about identity. It's at who creates their own reality. Waking up early to be. When you get up and dedicate the first moments to reflection, meditation, writing, you and become an expression of what you yourself, repeating old patterns, living as you always. Capable of anything greater? All of this stems. Young man I interviewed during my research, a boy full of dreams but who lived suffocated by the idea that he didn't yet have, was overwhelmed he should wait for a better, looked into his eyes and said, "You don't need more time, you need decision." Months later, that same young man adopted the simple habit of waking up early, reflecting, and writing down identity. He was no longer someone who lived. In a few years, his life changed so radically that he himself was surprised. Modern research confirms what I've been teaching for decades. Harvard study followed people for 10 years and concluded that those who cultivated rituals of reflection and writing in the morning were more than 50% more likely to achieve their financial goals compared to those who lived on autopilot. This is not coincidence, it's science. What you decide to be at dawn determines the choices. With me, how many times have you told yourself you needed to change but never did? How many times have you promised you would be different but return to the same patterns? As long as you believe you are the same person as yesterday, you will continue to make the same decisions. But when you decide early in the morning that you are someone least 1% better than you are today, new, that you are capable, that you have purpose, you begin to reprogram your mind. It doesn't matter how many times you failed or how many people have said you couldn't do it, and every morning you have the chance to choose who you will feed, the old version. Each morning is a new beginning, and that new beginning is a gift when you assume is not a label but a process, and every process requires practice. See what happens with choose differently. The people around you notice. Opportunities arise. What seemed impossible becomes part of your to respect the decision you made early and no longer matches who you have decided to be. I know it can seem difficult at first. You will wake up tired. You will built with constancy. In the beginning, it's sacrifice. Later, it becomes pleasure. You will see with your own eyes the power of small choices. Screen, and in it, you will advance on accumulated. And one day you will look back and realize it wasn't luck or chance, but a silent decision you made every morning. So, I ask you now, who will you choose? Version, living on autopilot, or will you rise as someone who has finally decided to live with direction? Life is waiting for your decision. And it all begins when you awaken to the truth of who you really are. If there's one truth you need to retain from everything I've shared here, it's this. The way you start your day defines the way your courage and your prosperity. It's in that urgencies that you take control of your destiny. Every small step matters. Every morning conquered is a seed planted in the soil of your future. I appreciate your presence and invite you to contribute to this project. Use the like button to support the channel and join our community by subscribing, guaranteeing priority access to exclusive videos. Me to continue sharing transformative teachings. Don't end here. The next video is already on your learning journey, growing and improving, becoming at. I'll see you there.